And I also get a very distinct impression of laugh lines around the corners of the eyes, no? Well, yes, she was amazed. And further, I see a certain graying at the temples, isn't that right? Well, yes, it is. As far as she was concerned, I already knew what she had written down. The paper was now out of her mind. Obviously, I knew when I tore up the paper, her attention, even if she had a skeptical mindset, which in this case she delightfully did not. But even if she had a skeptical mindset, I'm sure by that point she would have been convinced that I already knew the name on the paper and was just playing with her for theatrical effect. And the fact that I was then getting my hands on the paper, even to tear it up, was of minimal importance. Psychologically, I have found over the years, and I've probably done this particular presentation of my center tear conservatively 4,000 or 5,000 times. Almost invariably, the name which is written on the paper is that of a male, of a man. Now, I'll show you how to cover there. I'll tell you how to cover for this in a second if it turns out you're wrong. But just look at television. The male bias is there. Most of the people we think of as being television personalities are men. You can probably name one. At the time this is being taped, for example, Roseanne is a big name in television. A few years ago it may have been Cher. But for the most part, it is still, as far as publicity and promotion are concerned, a masculine-dominated medium. Like it or not, we'll take advantage of it. So you say, I get a very definite masculine impression. Second, I get a definite impression of smile lines around the corners of the eyes. Well, by the time you make it anywhere in television, you probably have a certain amount of age on you, and you have those little tiny smile lines. Other people who make it quickly into television, into celebrity status, usually come from comedy, so that kind of ties in as well. Also, people don't think to write down names of personalities who are unpleasant. They always think of pleasant people, fun people, enjoyable people. So the smile line goes well. The graying at the temples, the final seller. Once again, usually by the time a person has achieved some degree of prominence, so that his name comes immediately to someone's mind when you ask them to think of a television personality, the person has a little bit of age on him, so he's got a little gray at the temples. But let me tell you how to cover, just in case someone happens to be thinking of Roseanne. I get a very definite masculine impression. Is that correct? She says, no. Oh yes, it's a masculine impression. I think she really shaves a mustache. It gets a little laugh, okay? It's not really sexist, it's a joke. But what it does is it gets you past that one little negative. Now I guarantee, I've never had anyone say no to the laugh lines business. That is, you can chisel that one in stone, folks. Now you get to the third one. I see a little graying at the temples if they say, no. Oh, yeah, it's there. He covers it up for TV, you know. So you're covered, okay? And at the absolute worst, you've made a couple of jokes, and you still have a beautiful center tear technique, which is covered from all angles to back you up. So follow it through this way. Now, obviously, if you were doing the same presentation over and over, strolling mentalism, and people overheard the presentation, you'd probably have to back away from those three psychological lines, else someone may catch you in repetitious patter. But for the most part, I wouldn't be concerned. So look what we've learned now. First, you've learned a marvelous center tear that can be done close-up or surrounded in dark, dim light, because quite often when you're working in a table-hopping environment, a banquet, a cocktail lounge, even outdoors with those tiki torches from hell, which make a peak almost impossible, you can still get a good look at it because you've pre-justified the fact that you're asking for printing, felt tip pen, light paper, paper that has some substance to it that doesn't talk when you umbrella the centerpiece open. In essence, you have a beautiful piece of psychological misdirection when you tell the person to keep these cupped pieces in your hand, cup your hands, no, like this. The no gets their mind immediately to snap back to their hands, and you can't have two things on your mind at once. And if you're busy thinking about how to hold your hands, you're not thinking about whether or not the funny fellow's looking at the paper. Finally, when the paper is all torn and in the person's hands, I know what you want to do. You want to worry about whether or not the person is going to look and find that corner, that section, which was the center, which is now refolded or perhaps slightly torn, and you wonder, are they going to discover it? Don't worry about it. Don't run when you're not being chased. That's spelled C-H-A-S-T-E. In other words, what you've just done is you've put scrap paper in their hands. You've torn up the pieces of paper. You've put them in their hands. You've given them what they want to know, the information that's on their mind. You've congratulated your participant for doing a wonderful job of concentrating. Now you take the trash out of their hands and throw it away, as any gentleman would. So please don't be concerned about putting the work right there into your participants' hands. They never think of it, okay? I've mentioned some of these books earlier, and despite the fact that I think really you have now in your possession and soon to be in your repertoire the finest center tear technique, let me give you some background material. Several pieces are available out there. One of them is Richard Stride, Scatter Thought. It's an excellent pamphlet. It's a surrounded center tear technique. Likewise, there's an excellent technique called the Richard Osterlin Surrounded Slow Motion Center Tear and Other Techniques. This is an excellent pamphlet, good handling. Yet another one by my good friend Bruce Bernstein, the Bernstein Center Tear Technique. This is available from Magic Inc. Out of Chicago and is a very innovative fold, tear, and peak. I mentioned several times, boy, this is a veteran, Corinda's 13 Steps to Mentalism. If you must add any one book to your mental library after you buy all of mine, this is the one to have. Finally, one I didn't mention, and last but certainly not least, the most extensive publication on center tear I've ever seen, written by Al Mann. It's called The Purloined Thought. Only 200 were printed. It may very well be reaching a sellout point at this date. But if you see one on a used list, don't ask, just get it. It is a marvelous encyclopedia of center tear techniques from one of the unsung heroes of our time. Well, that's it. You've had the Lee Earl Center Tear Teach-In. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very, very much for enjoying and buying this tape. My name is